The hidden world of offshore banking. When most people think of banks, they imagine the ones they see every day: local branches, national institutions, and well-known financial centers. But beyond the traditional banking world lies a far more secretive, complex, and powerful system: offshore banking. This hidden world is not just for the ultra-wealthy or shadowy figures of finance. It is a vast, global network that affects governments, businesses, and even ordinary citizens in ways most never realize. Offshore banking refers to financial institutions located outside a person's country of residence, often in jurisdictions known for their low taxes, financial privacy, and corporate-friendly regulations. These offshore havens have been around for decades, but their role in the global economy has expanded significantly in recent years. While offshore banking has legitimate uses such as asset protection, business expansion, and estate planning, it is also notorious for facilitating tax evasion, money laundering, and financial secrecy. But how did this system come to be? And why is it so powerful? To understand offshore banking, we need to look at its origins, the mechanisms that keep it running, and the controversial impact it has on economies worldwide. The origins of offshore banking. The concept of offshore banking isn't new. It dates back centuries to a time when merchants and aristocrats stored their wealth in foreign lands to avoid taxation and political instability. But the modern offshore system began taking shape in the mid-20th century as countries like Switzerland, the Cayman Islands, and the Bahamas realized they could attract capital by offering banking secrecy and tax advantages. One of the first major offshore havens was Switzerland, which established its famous banking secrecy laws in 1934. These laws made it illegal for banks to disclose account holder information, a practice that attracted clients from around the world looking to protect their assets. Over time, other jurisdictions followed suit, each developing their own version of financial secrecy and low-tax policies to attract global wealth. By the late 20th century, offshore banking had evolved into a sophisticated, multi-trillion-dollar industry. With advancements in technology and globalization, money could now move across borders in seconds, making offshore financial centers more accessible than ever. The rise of multinational corporations, hedge funds, and high-net-worth individuals seeking tax advantages fueled the expansion of these financial havens, leading to a complex network of offshore accounts, shell companies, and secretive trusts. How offshore banking works. At its core, offshore banking operates through a combination of financial secrecy, tax incentives, and minimal regulatory oversight. Here's how it typically works. Choosing an offshore jurisdiction. Clients select an offshore location based on its banking secrecy laws, tax policies, and legal protections. Popular choices include Switzerland, the Cayman Islands, Luxembourg, Singapore, and Panama. Opening an offshore account. Offshore banks often require minimal personal information, allowing individuals and businesses to open accounts with relative anonymity. In many cases, offshore entities can be set up remotely without ever visiting the country. Creating shell companies and trusts. To further obscure ownership, clients often create shell companies or trusts in offshore jurisdictions. These legal entities exist primarily on paper, making it difficult to trace the true owners of assets. Transferring and storing wealth. Money can be moved into offshore accounts through wire transfers, international business transactions, or asset transfers. Once offshore, funds can be reinvested, held in secret accounts, or funneled through additional offshore structures to further complicate tracking. Utilizing loopholes. Offshore banking thrives on loopholes and regulatory gaps between different countries. These legal gray areas allow individuals and corporations to minimize tax liability, hide wealth, and, in some cases, engage in illicit activities with minimal oversight. The dark side of offshore banking. While offshore banking has legitimate uses, it is also notorious for facilitating financial crimes. The same secrecy that protects assets can also shield illicit money flows. Some of the most common abuses of offshore banking include tax evasion. Many wealthy individuals and corporations use offshore accounts to hide income and assets from tax authorities. By shifting profits to offshore subsidiaries, companies can drastically reduce their tax bills, often paying little to no taxes in their home countries. Money laundering. Criminal organizations and corrupt officials frequently use offshore banks to launder illicit funds. By moving dirty money through multiple offshore accounts, They can obscure the origins of their wealth and reintegrate it into the legitimate economy. Fraud and corruption. Offshore banking has been linked to numerous financial scandals involving bribery, embezzlement, and fraudulent investment schemes. Corrupt politicians and business executives often use offshore accounts to hide illicit gains. Economic inequality. Offshore banking contributes to global inequality by enabling the ultra-wealthy to avoid taxes while the burden falls on ordinary taxpayers. Governments lose billions in tax revenue each year due to offshore tax shelters, reducing funds available for public services. Major offshore banking scandals. Over the years, numerous high-profile leaks and investigations have exposed the hidden world of offshore banking. Some of the most infamous include the Panama Papers 2016, a massive leak of 11.5 million documents from the Panamanian law firm Mossack Fonseca revealed how politicians, celebrities, and business leaders used offshore accounts to hide wealth and evade taxes. The Paradise Papers 2017, a leak of 13.4 million documents, exposed offshore financial dealings of major corporations, politicians, and wealthy individuals, revealing the extent of tax avoidance strategies used globally. The Swiss Leaks 2015, an investigation into HSBC's Swiss private banking division uncovered widespread tax evasion by wealthy clients from around the world. These scandals shed light on the vast sums of wealth hidden offshore and the loopholes that allow financial secrecy to persist despite growing regulatory pressure. The future of offshore banking. Governments and regulatory agencies have been working to crack down on offshore banking abuses. Initiatives like the Common Reporting Standards (CRS) and the Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act (FATCA) aim to increase transparency by requiring financial institutions to share account information with tax authorities. However, offshore havens continue to adapt, finding new ways to maintain secrecy and attract global wealth. Despite increased scrutiny, offshore banking remains a powerful force in the global economy. While some use it for legitimate purposes, its darker side continues to fuel inequality, corruption, and financial crimes. As long as secrecy and tax advantages exist, the hidden world of offshore banking will continue to thrive, remaining one of the most elusive and controversial elements of modern finance. In conclusion, offshore banking is not just a tool for the elite, it is a deeply ingrained part of the global financial system, influencing economies, governments, and societies in ways most people never see. Whether viewed as a necessary financial strategy or a shadowy world of corruption, one thing is clear: offshore banking is here to stay, and its impact will continue to shape the world for years to come.